Welcome to the podcast. Today we have my longtime best friend and business partner on the show, Derek McConnell. What's up, dude?
Hi.
Drinking a Diet Coke, which we all know turns the formaldehyde in the bloodstream.
Did you know that this is going to be a podcast on Spartamate?
Health.
Aspartame?
Spartament.
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 Spartacus.
Spartament. I like Spider-Man. I
Spider-Man.
think we should do that.
Tom Holland. That's what we got to.
Have you seen the movie The Devil All the Time with Tom Holland?
I have,
No,
but
you haven't.
I really have. I have watched it, but then I fast forward through it to see if Tom Holland was shirtless at all in it, and I saw that he wasn't. So then I just stopped watching it because it just I don't know, movies unless they're about aliens or like Pokemans. I don't really care.
Okay, but I'm just saying because The Devil All the Time, spoiler alert, is really, really like bad. It's like so sad, and you're just like waiting for it to pick up, and it never does. And I was watching it with like Nadia, her mom, stepdad, our daughter, and we're just like what, like looking like it goes through like a backstory that's incredibly sad and dark, and then it gets to present time, and you're like, oh yeah, this is probably gonna be used in some great way, and then it's just like, oh, that person dies, they die, okay, oh, death, oh, that's corrupt, cool, and then Tom Holland kills everyone and it ends.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it sounds like real life.
The Devil All the Time, not very
So-
good. I mean, from the name, I probably should have. Probably could have deduced.
Yeah. But again, Tom Holland is not shirtless in any of these scenes, so it might as well. You can pass it off as a non-watch.
Anyway, gay. This is not a joke. My man is actually gay.
We're not going to bring sexual orientation to this podcast, but here it is.
Oh man, no,
Here it
nothing,
is.
nothing. It's all great. It's all gravy. Anyway, so I wanted to bring you on the podcast because we've
Yeah,
been working together.
why did you want to
We've
put
been
it on
working
the podcast?
together on this company for like the past 2.5, 3 years. I've been doing, taking clients for the last 7, and it's kind of an interesting way that we began working together. You will hear that. It's kind of an interesting way that we began working together, and you were pretty pivotal in like getting the first client that led to the first couple to led to the first everything that we have now. So, walk us through the beginning, buddy.
Walk us to the beginning. Okay. The beginning's blurry because the beginning starts literally the month that COVID begins. I'm not even joking. Okay. So, along with, I would say, like, with everybody else, with everybody in the world, basically, when COVID happened, everything shut down. Everyone was like, what the hell are we going to do with our life? I think that's when I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to become an influencer like every single person in the world.
And that's actually been a consistent theme. I will say that social media for Derek and I goes back way beyond that. And he was on Instagram before I even understood what it was, and would take like shirtless pics and get 100 likes. That was always like the starting point. Like, let's get 100 likes. And I was like, I don't know social media. I don't know like this, but I want that attention though. So I got in shape, and then he taught me how to take all these thirst trappy pictures, and then we were both posting in competition, and he
so
whipped my
sorry
ass
the
for a
world.
very long
I'm
time.
sorry for the world for
No,
that.
dude, we got to pull some of those up. I had some good snow pictures, beanie on, shirt off.
Yeah. Regrets. All regrets. People say you don't live with regrets. I regret that.
But all that to say, he was ahead of the social media game before me, and I think I'll let you get back to your story.
Thank you. And don't cut me off. Anyways, so COVID happens. World shut down. My desire then, or my greatest goal at that point, become an influencer. Just become the best.
Right. So, and in your kind of process, I remember you literally were like, I go to Whole Foods and I just see the coolest thing that I find. I just go find the coolest thing that I can find, like from a branding standpoint. You're like, from the branding, you'd be like, I think this company will make it. So like, what
Yes.
did that?
Well, I think it went even before all of that, because that was about a year later that kind of methodology kind of started working for me. But before that, like during COVID, I think a lot of like brands were starting to test out like e-commerce ads, and this is when Instagram ads started to become a very prolific and necessary component for all small brands, especially in their infancy when they first started going. And so when I was scrolling, like everyone else was doing during COVID, it was either that or watching Marvel movies. Like that's all we were doing.
We're building companies like we did, but
And so when I was scrolling, I saw all these like brands, and then I would basically every day was my goal to reach out to about 5 to 10 brands that I thought were like really cool or really promising based on a couple factors. And it was always to me their branding, if a company was willing to spend on their branding and like how they package their goods, how they present them to the consumer, I already knew that they had a leg up on the competition. The other two was how prolific their ad spend was, and that's how I know this now. But back then I was like, how many times do I see them in a day? How many times does their ads target me per day? If I got an ad for the same company 2 to 3 times per day, I immediately was like, they're spending a lot of money on promoting this. I'm gonna hit them up. And so how my process would be to DM them. Usually, their social coordinator or their marketing coordinator was on the other end of that DM, and they used to respond to me. And I was always start the conversation was like, hey, like I see that like you guys are like a new brand or a newer brand, or hey, this looks really cool. I would always change it up a little bit to spark some interest about like me wanting to collaborate with them in some way. And usually what happened was, because we weren't allowed in stores yet, it was like I would ask the whatever on the receiving on the DM and be like, hey, why don't you send me some of your stuff? Send me your product, send me this, and I'll post on my Instagram. And maybe like 3,000, 4,000 people would see it, but at least it sparked one person's interest or 2 people's interest. You're making your money back. Plus, if your product is good, you have a consumer for life.
Like, think about the value of that at that time. Like, when you could post and like 80% of your followers would see stuff. Like, that's a dream now.
Yeah.
Like, it's an actual dream now, what you were doing then for them, because it was just so easy to get views and anyway, I think that's just funny.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, I think 2020 to 2021, I think was the start of UGC. In terms of profitability. Now, 2023, it's all UGC. I would say 80% of what we do in our space in terms of social e-commerce marketing is all based on micro influencers and medium tier influencers just creating UGC. Yeah. I think that is really, it started back in 2020 when people were like, what the hell do we do with our time?
Sure.
And I think it's shown profitability throughout like every single field.
And UGC is so funny because it opens up the platform for anybody to do anything and anybody to be famous. And you hear about that all before, but like it's really a win-win for brands and products, because you got all this like young kids coming up who want to be something, and all of these brands are like, will you do it for this or cheap or whatever, give people. So it's kind of cool. Like, I don't know.
So that kind of like method that I use to get outreach and to collaborate with brands kind of transformed into every time I went to a store, I went to a store shelf. If I saw cool packaging, if I saw a different brand, if I saw something that I genuinely liked how it looked, and after I how it tasted or how I use it or I like the product in general, always post. And it kind of switched into this mindset where I was like, if I see something cool, I'm posting it on my story every single time. I don't care who it is, what it is. If I believe in that brand, most importantly, the branding, then I'm going to post it, because I will tell you, 90% of the time, if you tag a brand, especially if it's a smaller tier brand, not like a General Mills or a Lysol or something like that, if you post a brand that is trying to get their name out there, trying to get exposure, and you just tag them, you will absolutely get a response from who is ever on the other side of their social platform.
I slightly disagree with that, because I do think you have a look and a vibe to you that people want to work with from an influencer standpoint, because I would do the same shit you would do and I would get nothing. So I think if you have some kind of look and brand that's a little bit prominent or a little different, like you have had and have at the time, like absolutely. But yeah, I think like as long as you're like try to do something, like at the time, I think mine's profile was everywhere at that time, so it wasn't like, oh, will you do this or that, but you were doing that thing. So
but that's just a thank you to Jesus for giving me a decent
shut up. We didn't even work out. So
thank you, Jesus, for giving me a body.
So
I appreciate you.
That whole process, and mixed with the process of how like if someone was targeting you on social media, led you to Magic Spoon.
Yes.
And you were like, Magic Spoon's cool, I want to do something with them. And then so like what happened there? Because I know it happened like after from that part, but like what was...
So Magic Spoon, like I reached out to him, like honestly, probably nobody knew what the hell his company was when I first reached out to him. It was like when they probably had gone live for the first like 6 months. And I think that they were still when I first like contacted them, because I saw an ad, or I think their Instagram page popped up on my Explorer feed. they hit me and was like, hey, we're still doing like some like testing of it. And then we'll send you some stuff when we finish. Like a couple months down the road, I get this huge delivery to my door of just all this Magic Spoon. Yeah.
Mountain of cereal.
Just Magic Spoon cereal. And if anyone doesn't know Magic Spoon, that is expensive as hell. Like it is like $10 a box now at Sprouts.
And then for those if you don't know what Magic Spoon is, it's high protein cereal.
Yeah.
And doesn't have as much like crap in it. So
yeah.
I think no sugar is a thing too.
And what did I do with that package, that mountain of cereal? Nothing. I did nothing with it. I did nothing with it for literally 8 months. Forgot about it. It was in my room, like shoved away in like a box because I just was like, I don't even know. Like this, I don't know if this company's going to do well. I don't know what's going to happen with it. And what really led the first creative that Ricky and I ever did together, the very, very first one ever, was at his roommate's house with Cindy and Josh, right?
Yep.
And he was like, hey, just bring over that cereal that you said you got that you've never used. Like, we'll make something cool about it.
And for context on this, like during COVID, like during the, we'll just say during like the shutdown time, like for whatever reason, but my competitions just stopped. Anyone doing videos just stopped. And not all businesses closed. So a lot of the clients I was working with were open, and I just started working with everyone. And I was really just like starting this business from my parents' den. Like just like working with real estate brokerages and small brands and this and that. And I had been sitting at home watching a bunch of Daniel Schiffer videos with like B-roll. Like I remember I showed you that one that's just like still one of my favorites today that he's done. And I was like, I want to do something like this. And I think if you look at that one side to side, you do see elements of it. But I was like, okay, I think I want to do this style of video for that. And I think you're on the camera doing it, so it incorporates you. I'll be behind the camera like shooting it. And Megan was there and shot one behind the scenes shot. And fun fact, that behind the scenes of that thing got 1.8 million views on TikTok. I have not figured out how to leverage that again. But anyway, that's kind of funny. So that's like, so we made that Magic Spoon video. And then that's when Strive kind of, they didn't, how did that work? Because Magic Spoon, that was all good. They didn't really end up doing very much with it. But you kept doing this was what was the at-home subscription thing that you got with a Strive in it?
I forgot. I literally forgot.
I remember it was it was one of those services where you buy a box and they give you like 5 different brands that are like new.
So like, what was it? Okay, number one, I needed to say that when we did that creative for Magic Spoon, it was the first time I had no clue what the he did. Like, I knew he worked at Food Beast and did like video stuff because we were obviously best friends, but I didn't know that that's what the kind of route that he wanted to take his career to.
And for the record, at that time, no one was taking me seriously. Like I was raging my face off most nights of the week and like going out and just like I didn't even take me seriously. So it's a very interesting time that I asked Derek to do this and we're going to do this thing together.
And so like when we did it, it was like the most like random thing. So you like imagine like me who has no experience doing anything in terms of professional video work going and someone telling me to cut open a bag of cereal with an extremely sharp knife like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like it's like wild. And I'm just like, what shot are you trying to get out of this? We'll like link that video, right?
Yeah, I think we should just put it up and we'll play it before because it's not very long.
So you can see exactly what we're talking about. And I was confused about everything. I was just listening to what he told me and I was trusting him. And all I know is that camera was just like in my face constantly. And he said it was going to look cool. And I was like, I bet. Also, sorry, Cindy. Yes, I did break I did break your light fixture, and I know that probably no one fessed up to it, but that was me. On one of the swings of the blade, I went too far, and I literally shattered one of your light fixtures. I forgot
about that. It like made a crack all the way up.
Yeah.
I also don't know that it was, unless you were looking for it. It wasn't as terribly noticeable. So thank you. Hopefully, no one ever saw it, and we're all good. But
so R.I.P. that light fixture. But it's just the what happens in the trade.
Yeah.
But now we'll digress to the juice of how RZM Media got started, or how like the actual team started being filled. Because of that, after about like a few weeks, Ricky showed me the actual video, how it came out, and I was like, "This is insane! Like, it's amazing." I think that people, and I think all brands would pay for something like that because if this was ran as like an ad, like you were forced to buy it. Like it was so much cooler than what I had seen previously through all the brands I've like had reached out to. Like I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So I used to get like this box that was like for all new brand concepts, they would be put into this box and you got it for free. It was like this subscription where like you just paid like this small fee and then you got a ton of products of all like these new brands that would all you had to do was fill out a questionnaire after about like, did you like
it was
it?
called like Snackable or something, snack pack or something.
I don't even freaking know what it is,
But something like that.
Yeah, if I find it, we'll put in the caption.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of these boxes came with this very monochromatic looking with a couple of like bright camo flared markings. It was called Strive, and it was a biltong. I had no clue what the hell that was. Biltong. It is South African dried beef, for anyone that wants to know. But so I go eat it, and I'm just like, this is actually pretty good. This is actually pretty decent. I think that there is some like actual like success lying in the waits for them. And so I hit them up via Instagram because I was like, what
That's
else?
what
am I
you
gonna
do.
It's what I do. It's what I do. So I posted a picture of them. And when I got their package out, that was really cool. Snapped a picture real quick. Probably in like 2 hours, one of their social people, who is now a dear friend of ours.
We love.
Shout out Elva Chavez, literally my queen of all queens. Little did we know that would foster this relationship that would last through
Years. The whole time.
Even
Even still now.
Literally, we love her. And so she hit me up and was like, "Hey, like, the small conversation started, and then sooner or later, Ricky's name got brought up, and I was like, you know what? Like, if you want to create, let's create something. Let's do something cool." And then she was down, sent me some product, and that's when I passed it all to Ricky after that initial talk with her, and it was our first.
It was our first client that was like, okay, the crazy part about that story is like, so Derek passed it off, I closed the deal, and we still aren't working together at this time. So like, I'm like, okay, I know I can do this. Like, Derek, you're good, pass it off. Let's keep doing this and we'll figure out how we can keep going. But I shot that video. So, okay, let's go back to the deal. So I'm like talking with them and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea like what to sell. I have talked to smaller brands before. I had sold like $200 or $300 things, but I was like, no, if we're going to do this, it's got to be like 2,000 plus. So I sold a $2,500 video. So I sold a $2,500 video and they're like, yes, down. They didn't even bat an eye. I feel like an idiot. Probably should ask for more. But so they send it over and then we get the product and I'm like, hey, I was filling Derek in like through text at this time. It's still like COVID was in its infancy and like still pretty like scary. So we're at my house with there. I remember there's just I should have took a video of this, but I'm just shooting it in between the garage and the den. My sister's in the video. At one point, I wanted to do all these effects with like fishing wire and like meat flying by and stuff. And my mom and dad are on both sides. Amy's over here. I'm filming and like doing another effect like right here to get one of the shots that definitely made it in the cut. And I like just like labored over that for 3 days, a full weekend. It took me a full weekend to make a video at those times, like then. And they loved it. Like they loved it. But crazy part is I didn't hear from them for 3 months. And what really kind of sparked it again was they had a media buyer advisory. Before it was advisory, it was Derek Angulo. And so shout out Derek, thank you. But he was running ads for them and he was just asking like, hey, like what content do you have? Like where, what do we have? So he's looking through their bank of content and he comes across the video I made and he's like, what the fuck? Who did this? Like, this is incredible. Like you need to get back on the phone with them and work with them. And as Elva messages me again, like, hey, we need to do another video ASAP. Derek also messaged me. Is like, hey, we're looking to partner with someone who can, basically they take the concept, they make the whole concept and have like the design, everything and the client, and we partner up and I would produce it. Still Derek, not even on the team, fully on the team yet. So that was how that whole process came up. We did a second video. It was all good. Then they're like, we need to work with you monthly. I was like, sounds good. Gave them a price and we worked together monthly for 3 years probably, which is crazy because there's two crazy things that happened. All of the partnerships that Advisory and I like went on, which is then when you started part-time, and with Strive is when you started part time as like us just doing this together, and then Strive started 3 other brands under their name under Strive Foods, and then that's when they were like it was like January of 21, right? Or
Yep.
at 21, they're like, hey, we have this deal. I think it was like 5K. It was like a 5K monthly thing. And they're like, hey, we want to like quadruple this. Like we want to do a 20K for all the brands a month. And I was like, holy shit, we made it. This is the end of that. We're good. Like in my mind right now, like we made it. Like, oh, that's like more than I could even think at that time. That's just where I was. And so I was like, Derek, you need to quit everything you're doing. Let's do this full time. And then like literally the next month, like it must have been within 30 days, they had a new CEO, and they just swapped everything they were doing from digital marketing to like packing, shipping, and in stores. And I was like, and that all went away. And so we had to literally rebuild everything, but thankfully we rebuilt everything, and it kind of led to a lot of stuff. But this kind of like takes me to like your specialty, like where that was all how it started. But really like what we do now is a lot of production, but like your set design thing. So one of the coolest things to watch Derek, like, for lack of a better term, like blossom, like from like, what he was doing to where we were going is like, he used to put the sets together for me because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what looks good. I don't know what's cool. And he would put the sets together, and he started like, how did you start? Like, what was your mindset with that? Like, oh, I think I know what's cool. Let me just put stuff together. Or was it like, I have a vision?
I think it comes down to 3 things that in terms of how I've shaped my specialty in the business, or like what I bring to the table. And it comes down to what other brands are doing, constantly adapting to where the market is going and where e-commerce, branding, and marketing, all the shifts of all the different various brands we work with. Number 2 is I'm chronically OCD. And I think that Ricky and I share that. For me, it's mostly when I see something. For him, it's always visual on the camera. For me, it's physically. Like if something isn't in a pair of 3s, or if something's in an even number, or if I don't think that there are enough competing heights with when I'm looking at something on a table, I hate that. And number 3 is I smoke weed a lot. And I get a lot of inspiration from that, and then a lot of calmness. And so what will happen when I'm telling you a bunch of our shoots, I will go and think, okay, what is a vibe for this? I'll smoke it. I will literally dream something, and I'll wake up and be like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. And I think my biggest like asset in terms of what I bring to the table is I don't care what it is. Me and Ricky's dad can literally MacGyver anything and make someone's like an actual dream, something you like literally dream of.
This
appear.
Podcast set.
Yeah. On video. And it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of like falling on our face and being like, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't look right. But artistically wise is really like 2 things that have really like shaped what I bring to the table in terms of how we make our videos and how we've created like some really cool and really epic brand videos for people. It comes from adaptation, seeing what's going on in the market, and going on in the world of social media, seeing what's hitting, what's trending, especially when it comes to stylistic appearances. And number 2 is definitely going to be my chronic OCD with exactly how I like things, how I see things. I'm a huge believer in having an odd number of things constantly displayed. So I don't like anything in 2s, 4s, or 6s. I like things in 3s, 7s, 9s. Competing heights, contrasting colors, and making the viewer always feel slightly uncomfortable what they're looking at, because if they don't, they will lose all attention and you won't get any actual traction in the video. And so I think that those are pretty much like how it came to be. And trust me, for anyone who's wondering, this is not what I intended my career to be. I thought I was going to be a police officer until I got injured. After that, I thought I was going to work in the food service industry all my life, until Ricky ripped me out of that and said, absolutely not.
And in fairness, and just to give just a little bit of context to what he's saying about like viewership and wanting things to convert, what he's just to like, if we could point it just to business, it's like, hey, can this video make more money for more people, like for the clients? And Strive is actually one of our largest bodies of work, and we have the most data and testimonials and case studies from them. And so for context, from the first year we worked with them, we took them with our content from 17.5 thousand in online sales, that's social media, Amazon stuff, to 3.5 million in the first year with our content. So it was like insane what we were able to do for that client. I was like, we need to do that for everyone. And I think honestly, that's one of the major things that like new videographers miss is they're like, let's make the coolest fucking thing we can make and send it. And it's like yeah, of course you want to make the coolest fucking thing you can make, but like it's also a mistake. You need to make sure that it's like going to sell their product so that they hire you again or can actually hire you for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just do think there's a lot of people who are trying to make cool stuff, not thinking about how it's going to sell.
Exactly.
Which is why I like my last thing is like, that's why I keep pushing wide video. Like, stop fucking making wide videos. Like, you're not going to run that as an ad unless YouTube is the only option. Like, make vertical videos so you can run ads everywhere. Anyway, what's up?
No, I was going to say, like, just, I also don't want to ever sound like we're those corny agencies where it's like, we make ads that convert for you. And no, we're not. We invest and we know your brand well enough to make the dopest, coolest, fucking sickest ads that we are fully confident will make people buy your product. Yeah. I'm not going to, it's very verbatim. That's it.
And that's what we do. That's why we have a business. So I think that pretty much sums up that part like that. Your set design. And then to speak on your OCD a little bit, like my OCDs are crazy too. Like everything has to be straight lines for me. I cannot have like it all needs to be straight. This needs to be straight and this needs to be straight because if anything's off, my brain goes absolutely insane. So I think between both of our OCDs, it's like
I think it's also just time. Like the amount of clients we worked with, it started with like the dormancy in the small infancy of our company. It started with brands like our first one was Magic Spoon. Strive was next, and we have been extremely blessed and been able to work with a lot of companies that have really shown us and really revolutionized how we look at things, especially for me and you and videography wise, me and how everything is laid out set wise. I mean, Panda Express was like a slap in the face when their team came in, when their staging team came in and showed me 1,000 things of what you normally wouldn't realize is so prominent in a video, whether it be like perspiration on a piece of food you're about to eat or the exact placement of a red chili flake on a piece of orange chicken.
Yeah, and the specificity of it. Like, no, we need to place one right there.
Yeah.
They had, for reference, for like everyone to know, they had 3 food stylists, like for the one shoot.
And me.
And Derek. So set design, 3 food stylists. I think they had 2 from brand. They had everyone. Like it was a full ass house, full ass living room of ours. And like that shoot was crazy because we were doing the Osmo shoot the night before.
Yes.
And I was stressed as I've ever been.
We also need to talk about that. And that is also something to speak to when we first started our company. I don't think a lot of people understand that we went through it with our first year.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I think that has created like a significant bond in terms of like, we know we can get through anything in this company because as much as like the Stride thing hit us when they pulled like our contract or our consistent
agreement, our
revenue that we thought we were going to bank on in order to expand our company, we also were dealing internally with sometimes biting off a little bit more than we could chew.
And I was always doing that. I was like, you want to do it? Let's do it. We're doing it. Hey guys, we're doing it.
So I remember specifically we had one creative that was on an expedited rush that we needed to do in a week. And it was 8 videos for a company that Ricky was literally we had this 8 video creative that we needed to get done within 24 hours. The next day, within 14 hours when we started, Panda Express's entire team was going to be at our house because at this time there's no studios open because COVID's happening. And we had to convert a full-on set that we had made for our one company
in a living room
with maybe 800 square feet and couches, our own kitchen, our own fridge. We had to convert that entire set into a set that was going to be viewed upon all of the social heads of a main staple organization,
company,
which is Panda Express,
which
spends millions on ads.
And like, just to add more context to that, just because we were like, we were just trying to make it, we were trying to survive. It was the Osmo, and like I love all our clients. I have no problem talking about it. But it was the Osmo 8 videos. That was the day before. Then
Yeah.
the next day was Panda Express. But for context, he was up all night because it was like midnight or 1 when we called in one of our friends to help us. I went to sleep. I woke up to do the first part of the shoot, which was in store early because we wanted to go in before people would come in. So I did that. Then we came back to Derek, already had the house set up, ready to go, doing that. Then we finished that at like 8 p.m. When I went to sleep, I woke up and went on a road trip the next day with NBC and Johnny Bananas to shoot the first look for the next 10 days. So that in that 12-day span, we did all of that, those 3 projects, and I was gone on the road for the next 8 days, which is insane. I like literally like panic attack is an understatement.
Uh, and also, people, I wanted you to understand, like with the whole Osmo shoot in general. Number one, Matt Pincus.
Yeah,
like
Matt.
shout out to you. You
Yeah.
saved our ass, and you taught us so much when we were first starting up. It's one of our videographer friends, and we still work with him today. When
Showed up
Ricky
to the house at 1 a.m.
showed up to the house at 1 a.m. It's the only person I knew that would have been up because he's an absolute insomniac, like us.
Similar to you, yeah.
And I showed him the concepts of the videos. I with you not. I was cooking pork chops at 4 a.m. in the morning, stylizing them. We didn't wrap the shoot until 5:30 a.m. We made an 8-course meal because these are all like highly stylized food shots, all shot in black with a probe lens, like very intricate shots. The shoot itself took over 14 hours that day.
So Derek didn't sleep that day, and he was doing that cooking all while I slept like maybe 5 hours just so I can be kind of fresh for the morning shoot and then not be super dead for the road trip the next day, which is all of that together was just like crazy.
It was an absolute show. It was great at its finest. But I'm not gonna lie. When Panda came, there was a downtime. I slipped into my room because we're at our house. I fell asleep for half an hour because I was so fucking tired. And this is also me grabbing like food and donuts for a team of 12 at like 6 a.m. right after we had got done with the Osmo shoot, grabbing all the things that we needed for like coffee, bagels, and shit for the team to make sure that they were fed, and also like being on set to match fucking color coordinated hues for Panda Express's green and orange
and like
backdrops.
Just to like paint a picture, if you can't imagine what this looks like, it's like 10 people from the Panda Beyond team, Panda Express and Beyond Meat team, me and Derek, and all of us in like our townhome living room, and like another visual is we're taking photos that are going to be on billboards, and I've seen it across other people's platforms in the front yard of this like complex with like people, and like people must have thought like, I don't know what they were thinking, but I was like, we are shooting billboards in our like side room, not even our living room, it was a shared space outside.
So if we, that's pretty much when I knew that if we could accomplish those things in a 48-hour period, I mean, there's nothing we can't do. There literally is nothing we cannot do. And I think we proved it over and over again as like when things get like really rough and sometimes tough with what's on our plate, I literally go back to those days. I'm like, this is easy compared to me going an absolute bender and not sleeping for 3 days and just
work bender.
A work bender. Or regular bender, who knows? Who cares?
Whatever.
But yeah, just know that, it was crazy. It was fun though. Fun.
So what's kind of cool from that, like, okay, so that's like just a peek into the craziness of like, we actually got busy and did cool stuff, and like now we're actually rocking and rolling. And as we stand right now, like we're a 6-figure agency. We're like, even when I worked for myself, it was always 6 figures. And I'm not saying this to tout ourselves. I actually don't think that's cool. I'm like, it all starts at $1 million for us, and that's what we'll get to. But like that, it's just like the nitty grittiness of doing that. It's just insane. Like the things we had to do just to get that money, and where we're going now, because like that got us to like $500,000 a year, and now we're like, okay, how do we get to $1 million? And we're figuring that out now, and I think that's kind of where our new Panda Express, Osmo, and NBC road trip kind of challenge. Mm-hmm. So, like the way we're gonna get to our next goal, which is $1 million, is not through like a lot of little clients. It's actually through just single bigger clients at one time. And I think we're kind of going through this now. It's like reading Alex Hermosi's, both his books, $1 Million Leads, $1 Million Offers. Like, what's something that like you can do that people would like be dumb to say no to? And like the qualified people that I ran this by, it's like, we are going to do just so much content for one professional, for one human, whatever, in one span of one stretch that like it'll cover, 4 or 5, 6 months. And I think that's how we're going to get to the next thing, because we get to work with clients for 6 months and do it with a manpower of one day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think based on what we've done in the past, like, I think that's, I feel good about it. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, that's how we're going to get there. And to me, that's the future of content. Because I think right now with where we are, it's kind of cool because everybody needs content, but like some people still aren't there. In 5 years, it'll like not having content would be like the outlier. Like, it's just how much are you doing? And so being able to provide people with as much as humanly possible, like that's going to be the future. Like, look at this podcast. We're doing 3 today. Each of these is going to have its own like 4 or 5 clips that we can take out of it. That's 15 clips that we shot today. That's 3 full podcasts. That's 3 podcasts a week on YouTube. That's 3 times a day, Monday through Friday on Instagram, like all our short form platforms. Like, that's what we want to do. Like, that's how we're going to win. I said to Luke, like, that's how I'm going to get famous. And we're like, bigger I get, the bigger these clients get. Like, that's what we want to do. Volume, baby. What do you think, Derek?
Or I just get famous from just me constantly flexing on
Feet-
this podcast in
feet
like different
pictures.
ways. Like, just me just like,
Bro, just
adjusting
take your
myself
socks
to
off
see.
and show them the feet, dude.
Yeah, I hate feet. No, but I agree. I think that bulk content also it's the most time efficient. And I think that's what most people, because when you think about it, we are looking for the most efficient ways to win.
Yeah.
And especially with companies, whether it be literally companies, single business owners, or anyone that is trying to get their name out there. They want to do it as much as they can, but they want to save the most time.
Yeah, and no one wants to drive. Like, we're in Orange County. A lot of our clients are in LA. That's 2 hours, 3 hours there and back. Like, that's just tough. And we still do the monthly thing for some of our OG clients, but mostly we're pitching this 4-month one-time thing. And the original, like, where I got it from, or where I at least got inspired to do it from, is like Ryan McGinn. He's like the godfather of the text on screen. Like, all the text you see, he's the one who originated it. It's funny. He actually like had the deaf community were really upset with like him not putting subtitles on videos, and then he put subtitles on, and he's like, we can't even see those. So then he just did these outlandish, wild subtitles, and it like caught fire. So that's a funny tidbit about where that happened. But he's like, I charge 6 clients $6,000 a month. We meet up like 3 times a year. And I was like, what? And I was like, we're charging not that. So, but then I was like, do we have clients that can actually do that? Like, that's a push for people. And then I realized, you know what? Like, let's just prepare them both mentally, even physically, from like a state standpoint and from like a script standpoint. Let's go all in on the preparation. Let's hang out for 12 hours and just do it.
And I think that the biggest thing to that is, if it didn't work, we wouldn't be making these sales. We wouldn't be making and producing.
We'd make the damn
content.
thing work. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If it didn't work initially, we're gonna figure out how.
We're gonna figure out how, and I think that's the biggest testament. That's how the script that we've always worked on in terms of what we provide to all of our clients, all of our people that invest in us to make an investment in themselves. Is that we will obviously not stop until we see the greatest fruition of them.
Whatever that goal is. Yeah.
Whatever their goal is. If whatever they want to do, we will do, and we have done whatever it takes to get them to that point.
And you know what's cool is like when someone hires us to do it, like we then start to challenge this person, this human, this business to be the next version of themselves. Because the person they were before they hired this, all right, they're not going to be able to pump out 32, 36, 40, whatever videos in one day, but the person they're becoming certainly can. And I'm a big believer in that. Like, let's kind of change who you think you are and what you think is possible. And we do that all the time. I think we see that. We do that with ourselves, so we just do it with other people.
Well, I think that if you don't do that, you will fall behind.
Right.
And you will not be able to flourish as like any company, regardless of what field or what area you're in. It's all about adaptation, baby. All about adaptation.
That's it. Well, I think that's all I got. Is there anything else, Luke, you think? Nothing? I'm good. Yeah, so that's RZM, and if you haven't heard of us yet, you will in the next couple of years. So,
But yeah, I've never done a podcast before, so hopefully that was good.
that was good. That was super good. Luke?